Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's 7 o'clock, so let's get started. I hope that the brisk pace of business will help to keep us all warm. As you probably know by now, if there is an emergency, we need to leave the building. The exit is right at the back. I have to ask if anyone is filming or recording the meeting. Thank you very much. We have a draft agenda before us, following a very useful suggestion from Councillor Rolfe. I propose to take all the reports together. In other words, we would take items 4, 5, 7, 8 and 12, one after another, so we get all the reports in and then we can discuss other business rather than scattering them through the agenda. Is that acceptable to everybody? I see no objections. Thank you very much. Apologies for absence.
Thank you, Chair. Yes. So we've got apologies from Laura Bungard and Councillor McCullough.
Thank you. We have the minutes of the council meeting held on 4th of December, which I hope we managed to read. If there are no comments, would someone like to propose we accept them? Hannah Scott.
Thank you. Yeah, in the last councillor's reports, there's a few typos, I think. In the last section, it's Councillor M. Scott, not Councillor M.S. Scott. Oh no, that was actually me, so it's Councillor Hannah Scott. And then the last bit, Councillor M.S. Scott, is actually Councillor Matthew Scott. And I think, as we discussed before, it's going forward. I think your normal way of typing it up is just Councillor and then H. Scott or M. Scott.
Yeah, for the benefit of the public, we decided that there was no justification for referring to lady councillors by their marital status or adding something. So councillors will normally just be councillor and their surname. Where two councillors have the same surname, we can use their first names in conversation and their initials in the record of the meeting. And I proposed that, and I think it was acceptable to everyone. Good. So with that amendment proposed by Councillor Hannah Scott, are the minutes acceptable? Would someone like to? Thank you, Councillor O'Connor, proposed and seconded by do members have any interest to declare in relation to the item on the agenda tonight? I see no indications. So we move to item 4. Do we have a report from the ward?
No, so there's no reports this month due to Christmas and annual leave.
So I give the floor under item 5 to the county and Thanet district councillors. I don't know who's going to kick off. Councillor Daisy.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. I'd just like to say apologies for not being here for quite a few months. We have had district council meetings that have been extraordinary meetings, and we've had to go there for those, and that's why. And this evening, this meeting clashes with my St Nicholas Riley Parish Council meeting as well, which means I'm going to have to nip over to there after speaking with you. Okay. So I just want to catch up on a few things that we were speaking about last time. I have had some emails regarding the zebra crossing. It was crumbling, wasn't it? But they have actually started to patch it up, haven't they? Or they've done some work to it. Paul Valek said to me today that they have done that, and they will monitor that. So if there's any more crumbling, they'll make sure that they come back and start, redoing what they need to do. The barriers for outside of Ursuline School, opposite Ursuline School, for that bus stop. Today I had an email bus company to move that shelter run so that the back end of it would actually protect children from the road, and they said that it was too expensive to turn it around. So we're in a bit of a situation, unless of course we get a petition against the bus company and say we want it turned around. That's the other option. If you can get a petition together in the community and say they want it turned around, then that is possible, we can push it that way. We can force the bus company to do something. So we'll look at that as well. The litter signs that I wanted to go in with PDC about, well, it's still ticking away and the clock's still going and there's still nothing from them. So, you know, it's difficult because I'm saying that I'll pay half of it from the community funding for KCC with TDC, but still no real response back from that. So a bit disappointed there. The other thing about, I wanted to discuss with you, didn't know whether anyone was, about the libraries closing. You're going to be cut, is it 10 hours on your library? You know, we've had lots of briefings on this. They are trying to change the libraries with the technology that's coming in. People aren't always using them. They've looked at that, right? They've done criteria to check the library usage was visits per hour, loans per hour, and public computer use, and various other things to find out who is actually using libraries. And they found that, you know, some of the libraries wasn't being used as much. But what they are offering, parish councils, I don't know the town councils, to actually take over part of the library, which then can turn it into a community hub. Then you can do what you want there on specific days. So if you've got the libraries closed and you want certain community groups to go in there and offer services to the public, they can do that to fill up and use the space for community purposes. So that is one way of looking at, and also the books. If you think that, you know, they're not going to be, you know, given out, they're looking at this lorry service or the bus service to provide people and schools with books. So they're looking at a way to change the way people use libraries. You know, sometimes you think, you know, information technology is changing the world. So in fact, maybe it's a good thing, and it allows them, the town councils and the parishes, to do what they want with the buildings, almost. So it might be a positive thing rather than a negative thing. That's I just thought that maybe, you know, we could look at it that way instead. But that's all I've got right now, because it has been Christmas. There's not a lot of people being really contacting me from Westgate to say that there's anything that's untoward happening. So that's all I've got for you at this moment. Thank you. Any questions?
Well, thank you. I have just a comment. Firstly, we have looked into some of the issues concerning the library. One issue is that there's no disabled access to the upstairs, which means that certain activities can't be carried out there. The other is that there are several groups of people who do definitely need access to the library. So although overall the use might be diminishing, it does mean that for some people the libraries aren't particularly important.
Yeah, I agree, but you may possibly be able to get a grant. Now, if you wanted to take over the library in certain aspects, there are some grants that you can actually go for, you know, quite a lot of money to actually make it a little thing. If you could look and find out about those facilities that you might be able to provide for, you know, you just don't know. But I could, if you wanted to talk about the library services, I could get Mike Hill down to actually discuss them with you. He's a cabinet member who oversees the libraries and with an officer. And he might be able to go through certain things with you. You know, it's about discussion with KCC to see what you can do for town council in that space.
Well, I don't know what the rest of the council feels, but I would personally be very grateful for that. We did in fact try to contact the library and have somebody come to this meeting tonight, but no one was available. We will come to it under item 11 of the agenda. I do feel it's important for the town.
Because Mike is actually coming down to Birchington in the library. I think it's on the 28th of January. If that, I could actually set up 2 meetings so he can come to you after, if you like. Because he'll already have an officer with him, so he may as well not waste his journey, but come down and see you as well. I could talk to him and see if he could do that.
If that was possible.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yes, Councillor King.
Yeah, with regards to the libraries, I mean, we've had some contact with the libraries over the last few years around at Westgate, and we didn't get too hopeful that we was going to get some input into there, some office space and the upstairs as well, but obviously because of the disabled access being restricted, that caused quite a bit of a problem, so that would have had to have been addressed. But with the difficulty with the funding, which is behind most of this, is to make the funding to go around, wouldn't it surely be beneficial, or at least we could, not for us to ask Kent County Council, why don't Kent County Council just ask some of the parishes and town councils if they're interested in taking over the libraries, and then starting from there? Because because rather than see these libraries, I mean, at the moment, there's 10 hours going to be cut, there's 72 hours right across town being lost. 10 of those are going to be at Westgate. It does involve not so much, redundancies, but there will be less staff, obviously. I'm inquiring about it. So, you know, it's a win-win situation, really, because we do need to keep our libraries open as long as possible, because they're not just libraries. I mean, they've got so many community groups going on, children, other type of groups, the different yoga groups or whatever ones that use it. So it's like a community-based. It's not just a library. So we really do need to do everything we can to keep it. But I think it wouldn't hurt to actually approach Kent County Council, or for Kent County Council to have some program of saying, well, are you interested in working in a way to maintain your own library? I believe Faversham already do it. One of them does, I'm not sure which one of them. They actually do run their own library to have Kent County Council there, so that can be done. But I think it's really for the county to look at it.
Councillor Nightingale.
I mean, I totally agree with what you're saying about the use of libraries having changed. I think there's particularly the availability of people to do things online. In the universal credit, for example, the dreaded universal credit can only be applied for online, and that needs to be generally by people who have financial difficulties and can't afford to be online. So that's where they are able to make their applications, is by doing it online in a library. The other thing is that people who are applying for rehousing in Thanet have to make a bid, and they can only do that by being online as well. So unless the library is open at the appropriate time when the bidding goes up, then they're not going to be able to do it.
Well, that's not completely true, because the job centre is open and you can go into the job centre as well. So they have the online universal credit, and they will show you exactly how to have your account open and talk to your
I think that's fine if people are mobile enough to get to the job centre.
Yeah.
And also, surely the library for most people is a lot closer if they live in Westgate than having to travel down to the job centre. And particularly if people are making applications on the basis that they have a level of disability.
But the libraries aren't being completely shut. They still remain open. And if the parishes and the town councils take over, they'll still be open. I mean, Birchington's taking hold of their library, and they have it on a Wednesday and in the evenings. And they are actually starting to move forward with community projects. We've got the Co-Club, which is based around kids going in and learning about computers. So they're starting to move forward with it, and maybe that's a possibility for you to do that as well. It's an opening that the council, Kent County Council, are willing to work with the parishes and the town councils to provide a community base. And if you are there talking at the table with them, then you've got an opportunity to voice your opinion and to move something forward in a positive direction.
Well, we'll come back to this under item 11. Very useful what you said, and I think there are various options that we can explore, either to work in partnership with KCC or with other town and parish councils. But we'll come back to it, and I'll certainly, I think, be in touch in the next few days. TDC,
Yes.
please, Councillor Bainbridge.
Hi everybody. New Year's to you all. I hope it's all getting off to a good start for you so far. Just wanted to give you an update on the Westgate Pavilion. I appreciate that you've actually been through there yourself today, haven't you, Martin?
Yes.
The owner of the London School of English, Nicholas Martin, took me through there over the Christmas period because they took possession of the building. I mean, you know that it was bought from TDC a few months back, but they took possession of the building just before Christmas due to the fact that there were fire risks and environmental hazards. When I went through there over Christmas, there was like hanging wires and mould, and the toilets weren't working, and as you know, the windows and everything were boarded up. So I mean, he's basically estimating that the cost could be about 200,000, but they want to get onto it as soon as possible because they were really hoping that they were going to be able to have some more students here and have them, like basically tutored and have events at the Westgate Pavilion. And obviously that means more jobs for Westgate people, so that's important to us because they house those students. So hopefully they'll be able to get it all maintained and brought up to scratch and make it back into good order and, health and safety wise, etc. District-wise, this week is a preliminary hearing for Manston Airport. Are you aware about that? So there's a private meeting tomorrow morning, which I'll be at. Then it's open all day Thursday and Thursday night, and Friday morning for the public. I'll be making a representation, but I'm hopefully, some of you will be able to get there. I mean, obviously I'm going there as supporting the airport. Yeah. Also, I'm sure that everyone's heard about the Seabourn freight fiasco. Basically, the Department of Transport awarded 40 million to Seabourn, basically for a ferry for Brexit resilience, in order so we can get our drugs or anything, like our food, we're all stuck. KCC Councillor Paul Messenger strongly opposed this because he was aware that he'd been quite involved in the Seabourn project, and he was aware that they didn't have any boats or track records of trading or any money in the banking deal or paying for money in the bank, and he thought this was a bit of a risk for taxpayers' money. So basically that was all sort of like exposed, and the DfT responded by ensuring that no taxpayers' money will be handed over until Seabourn completed necessary checks and will be fit and ready for operation on March 29th. Of course, it went from bad to worse when we found out that they copied and pasted a takeaway terms of business on their website. I don't know if you've heard about that. So it was like things like you've got to ensure, that you've chosen the right food or whatever, whatever, other than sort of like about ferry. So we're not sure if anybody's actually called up Seabourn yet and asked them for a takeaway. But that would be quite funny. Local plan-wise, the council submitted the draft local plan to Secretary of State, Communities and Local Government on the 30th of October 2018, as you're probably aware, for independent examination. The inspector has recently written to the council asking for some initial questions, and the response is due on the 11th of January from TDC. If the inspector is content to proceed, we would aim to have hearings in April, May, with matters and issues and questions produced by the end of February. These are outline dates pending consideration of council's response. Of course, if the planning inspector isn't happy with TDC's response, then that will be delayed, or they may even be asked to start from scratch. This week I've called. this week I've called in the 14 Suffolk Avenue application. I had a couple of residents that were concerned about that due to there being overbearing and traffic management issues. So I've called that in. Emma Fibbins is overseeing it. I've had some people saying that they haven't actually seen their objections on the website yet. But regardless, if it's something that people feel strongly about, then they can bring it up at committee. If anybody wants me to obviously represent them or basically talk to them at committee, I can do that. And Also, I had complaints this week regarding, complaints about rubbish, but I think that's been planning over. But I had complaints about Ethelbert Square, there are lots of black dustbins out there, like plastic bins, but there's a lot of bags out there, so I've basically spoke to Waste and Recycling and going to send somebody around to see if we can get plastic bins all around there, so we can ward off all the seagull damage, so we'll see. Okay, that's it for today, thank you.
Thank you very much. Could you just tell us where is the consultation on Manston?
Sorry, at Winter Gardens.
Sorry?
At the Winter Gardens.
Okay.
That's it, it's a preliminary hearing for the DCO. It will be like representations at Stonehill Park there, RSP will be there. There'll be all the people that put in their representations to the planning inspector, basically saying why they do or they don't want Manston. So it's all day on Thursday and Thursday evening. So I can come to the neighbourhood plan next week because you've moved it, haven't you? Because I'll have to be at this Thursday evening, and then it's Friday morning as well for the public.
Okay, thank you very much. Move to my own report. First thing is to wish everyone a happy new year. Just to cover 2 or 3 points. Firstly, perhaps following on from that about the pavilion, I did go and have a look around the pavilion today. It requires a significant amount of work. There's firstly some structural issues related to damp coming in at the back of the building. And secondly, there is an awful lot of internal reorganisation to be done, both to make the electricity safe and also to make the building usable. We shall have to wait and see what the surveyor reports on all of that. I'm sure it's a building that can be of significant value in terms of Westgate. It is a focal point, and in the history of the town it's played an important role. Secondly, together with the clerk, we met with an official from TDC, Adam Littlefield, yesterday, who has recently been appointed to cover community development issues. I must say I'm very pleased about this insofar as the contacts that I used to have with the group relating to coastal community teams disappeared, and we were left really without anybody to relate to. What was useful is that there are several things going on in Westgate. I think from the general tone of the meetings that we could be quite proud of our record in terms of the efforts of community groups in Westgate. We talked about the Westgate Youth Project and the way in which we've been able to help them, various other things. And he has also agreed to try to help us follow up on issues such as asset transfers, so that's quite positive. The third thing is that following the motion that we passed in relation to Margate Civic Voice, I've had some contacts with their chair and secretary, and we continue to talk around the issues, but I hope that we can work very gently towards a deal rather than a no-deal situation. Thank you very much, and I give the floor to the town clerk for her report.
Thank you, Chairman. Firstly, I just wanted to let everybody know Laura Bungard, she did send her apologies, and she just wants to ensure that everybody has her contact details. So her mobile telephone number is on our website. It is 07969 583 922, or alternatively her email is laura.bungard@kent.gov.uk, and she'd like to reassure everybody she's always available to talk about any queries or issues that you might have. So all that information is on our website as well. Thank you. I wanted to give a report this month which is a bit different to my usual format. This is more of a reflective one, as I've now held the position of town clerk for over a year. This item is an information item only. Over the last year, several issues have been raised relating to members, and here the complainant has always been directly taken the issue directly with the monitoring officer under the Code of Conduct. However, some issues concerned internal issues like procedures and also include staff performance. The approach taken and applied consistently involved contacting complainants, requesting they provide a formal complaint in writing with the evidence, so this could be processed internally under our complaints process. Members will be pleased to note that either these complaints were not received or were resolved, and we can conclude that these issues are now closed. In the spirit of the new year, I thought it would be prudent to remind members of the codes and policies that Town Council has in place. I have supplied all members this evening with copies of the Code of Conduct and the social media policy in the first instance. I intend to supply copies of 2 further policies for each council meeting to all members, and following recommendations from the Human Resources Committee previously, I would like to request that you sign the declaration that has been supplied this evening to confirm that you have read and understood the contents of the documentation. If you're content you're familiar with these already, please feel free to sign this evening. If on the other hand you'd like time to read them in detail, I will ensure that the declaration form is circulated at the next meeting for you. Members will be interested to learn that sadly bad behaviour remains an issue nationally, and recently this was raised by the Society of Local Council Clerks and the National Association of Local Councils, who I understand have recently spoken with the Minister for Local Government to articulate the concerns of professional clerks. This will also be seen in the wider context of the ongoing consultation on standards in a report about to be published by the Committee on Standards in Public Life. This may well see a revised code and possibly significant sanctions for offenders, and I hope that our Town Council can endorse this process. The elections in May are now fast approaching, and in case anyone is not aware already, they will be held on Thursday the 2nd of May 2019. Further details will be communicated in due course. Lastly, I'd like to thank our administrator for coping so professionally whilst I enjoyed my holiday. She has proved to be an asset to the Town Council and deserves the recognition for her capabilities. Thank you.
Good, thank you. And so I give the floor to councillors under item 12, which we move forward to make any reports. Have any councillors got any reports they'd like to make? Councillor Robb.
Thank you, Chair. Through the Chair, I'm not sure if everybody knows, but not last Sunday, the Sunday before, I think it was, a well-known resident of Westgate dropped down dead and died of a heart attack. He's only 72, Peter. What's disturbing, where he dropped down with his heart attack, and he didn't go straight away. So one of the shopkeepers who was trained with the defect, he went to the fire station and took it off the wall and brought it back outside his shop, but unfortunately by then Peter had gone. Now we got a defib in the office, been there over a year, and I find it very strange why it's not out in the shop. There's 2 shops at that time, Edwards and I think Jeanette in the bargain store. Why isn't that out being used? It's no use saying, oh, you've got to have training. It's no use Councillor Scott being trained, Councillor Connor being trained, because if an accident happens, an incident happens, well, somebody will ring them up and say, you've had training on defib, you're going to come out and do it. That is absolute rubbish. That defib should have been out a year ago in the shop for use. The people that should be trained or asked if they'd like training are the shopkeepers where it's going first. We can have our training afterwards. I've been trained on it over 3 years ago, and they're very simple to use. The new defibrillator machines actually talk to you. I don't know how ours has got that. They talk to you as you open them up and tell you what to do. That is a year that's been sat in that office over a year, and it should be out. Who knows? Might save that man's life. But as a councillor, I feel very sorry that guy's gone, and perhaps we could have helped him.
Thank you. Yes, I was involved in an incident well, Junction Station Road in St Mildred's outside Boots not so long ago, where an elderly gentleman had collapsed. Unfortunately, the ambulance arrived very, very quickly, and they were able to take him off to hospital. Well, on the placing of the defibrillator, I know that the problem has always been that there are defibrillators around, people don't know where they are, and it's very, very difficult to have that information in the right place at the right time. I wonder if the clerk's been involved in some discussions on this. Is there anything to say on that?
Thank you, Chairman. Yeah, I mean, I'm aware that there are defibs in the town, the dentist, for instance, the doctor's surgery, but like you say, obviously the key problem is that people don't always know where they are. I will be working to ensure that the list goes on the website, and that's what I was working on, obviously with the training and getting it out to the site. So yeah, that's going to be a priority this month. I've got that all in hand. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, yes, Councillor Hanscom.
Yeah, just quickly to kind of, I feel a bit quite awkward about Councillor Rolfe's comment. It was quite directed and pointed at the clerk once again, and I even feel like it was suggesting that the death was caused by something that the clerk didn't do. So I just want to put that out there, that I think it could have been worded much differently in your comment, and once again it's directed at the clerk in quite a negative, pointed way.
He didn't mention the clock at all.
Chair, I had no intention of mentioning the clerk by name. That defib was there before the clerk came anyway, so perhaps we were at fault where Julie was here. We've had that defib for what, 18 months, 2 years? It's not been used. I didn't mention the clerk in any form whatsoever. No, it's your mind being twisted again. I was talking about the council, if you listen. Thank you.
No, if I might chip in, it is a national problem. There are defibrillators all over, people don't know where they are. And efforts have been made to try to solve this problem, but obviously it's a slow process. Emergencies happen very, very quickly, as Councillor Rolfe said, and very often the time just turns out not to be there to locate the defibrillator and use it. Councillor Cornford.
It was mentioned twice that we've had the defibrillator for 1 year, which is the length of time that our clerk has been nursed. And we've actually had it for longer than that. And it is important that people are trained, because if they don't know what they're doing, it could do just as much damage as not having one.
Chair.
Well, yes.
I did just say perhaps 2 years when our last clerk was here. I didn't just say a year, I retracted it and said perhaps up to 2 years, if you're listening. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Look, the main thing I think is we need to learn a lesson from what happened, and it's very sad that this gentleman passed away before help could be given, and the clerk has given assurance that it will be a priority in coming months. So I don't see any point in going over it again, but I give Councillor O'Connor the floor.
I believe that our part was actually in negotiations as if we could get it signed to the Edwards. So obviously before we signed it with someone, we had to have permission and ensure that the party to be open to it. And obviously, from what she said earlier, I'm assuming that that is willing to go ahead, and Edwards are willing to take the defibrillator home. So hopefully for the new year, we'll have a lovely shop. It's quite central to town, it's open good hours, but you'll be able to access the defibrillator.
Good. Can we move on, please? Okay. Thank you. Councillor Page, should you say on this subject?
It is, yes, just very simply. When it is recited, I think a good thing would be to have a very prominent sign on the pavement that can be seen by the public. It's not enough just to have it in a location. People need to know.
Councillor Matthews.
Just to the point. So it was just a quick report for myself, which is basically that I often travel on to the social media sites, one of those being the Westgate Matters, and it's come to my sort of attention again that various happenings have happened in Westgate, which are obviously of a criminal nature, something that I'm not happy to keep seeing. So, I mean, I have spoken to our town clerk, Jill, who's gone to the efforts to contact our PCSO, Susie Wadley Temple, is it? Wadley Temple, who will be attending our February meeting. Up until that point, I have contact details here, such as 101. Ideally, I wouldn't mind getting hold of a actual mobile direct contact, but I will just be periodically posting up contact details for any situations, because I feel anything such as this should always be reported. The more reports that come through, the more attention will be coming to, because yeah, some of these acts that I'm seeing are just a bit concerning for what I've always considered Westgate to be a quiet, retirement sort of town where people should be able to feel safe, enjoy what we have to give. So that was basically my report, just to keep saying that I'm watching what's happening, and if it's not reported, I'm at least putting it to the attention of the people who should be concerned to it. Thank you.
Anything else, Councillor O'Connor?
I'd just like to say that I actually saw my roads, which has been a couple of accidents coming out from it, actually having the road markings repainted today, which I was going to bring up as to saying that because they were so, well, virtually weren't there, but it's obviously problems with the accidents. So I was very pleased to see that they are starting to go around, and hopefully some of the roads in Westgate where people haven't been able to see it is a stop sign or a junction that might reduce some of the accidents. And I think just to report that that's good news for a change.
Good. Yes, Councillor King.
Thanks, Chairman. I wonder if I could get a quick update on a few points. First one being if we're making any progress regarding the Margate Civic Society and the press releases through their newsletter. What the update is with the recreation ground and the football pitches and the licences and the dressing rooms refurbishment. I know that they're going ahead at the moment. Also on the asset transfer, which I think you mentioned earlier when we had a meeting, the possibilities that we had put down to these have come, I mean these have been listed as official from the council. The sun deck at West Bay, which would be a good income stream, should we get on with it. The possibility that's been raised before, that there is no facilities for children, young children, play areas on this side of the Canterbury Road, everything's on the other side, recreation grounds, the green, and we were trying to establish maybe somewhere like the old issues, Putting Green. We do have 2 squares in Adrian and Ethelbert, and basically with the government's promotion about obesity and exercise, I think it's only appropriate that we identify a site and progress it to get some play equipment and an area where it can be installed. Because as I say, we'll be able to the children and the families this side of Canterbury Road, there's absolutely nothing here. And it's been raised before, but it's not getting one. I can't see the one making a question with it. I did raise it at one time, the possibility of identifying extra sites along the Esplanade for beach huts that could actually be an income stream. And maybe what the facility is with the kiosk. I mean, we've got one kiosk that I believe comes under the Westgate Cafe, but it's a council item. But possibility if there was any sightings for extra beach huts, which would be an income for us, the possibility of looking at a second kiosk or something that could also be an income stream. Because as we've established before, I spoke about before, we've got to try and get us, identify as many income streams as we can. In view of the budgets that we do or have not. And as we have, in my opinion, quite a very disappointing budget this year, the capital expenditure, that we'll try and find it somewhere. Thank you.
I feel I should reply on a couple of issues. Firstly, on Margate Civic Voice, as I mentioned in my report, we have had contact with them both at the level of the chair and the secretary, and I'm hoping we can sort this out and ensure that in future they acceptance that the difficulty over the division of assets with Margate Charter Trustees is now water under the bridge. That is accepted on both sides, I think. The second thing is in relation to asset transfers. In the meeting with Alan Littlefield that we had yesterday, we did go through the list of asset transfers. We tended to adopt the procedure, which Insight and Birchington are also following, that we will try to push through asset transfers, focusing on the most urgent cases. For us, the most urgent case by far is the issue of the changing rooms at the Newton Road football pitches. They would be of enormous value to the community. It would restore the recreation ground to what it was supposed to be. And so we are pushing very hard to get that through. Once we've got that through, then we have several others, as you mentioned, in the pipeline that we will be following up on. But we feel it's more effective, as Birchington have found, to try and put pressure behind the most urgent applications. They recently had their top priority application of, is it Dogs Green approved? Dog Acre. Approved, and we are hoping that the issue with the changing rooms will be sorted out very soon, and we will be able to return to these things. Concerning revenue streams, yeah, I agree entirely. We need to start looking at some of these things. As you may recall, dealing with TDC is not always easy, both because of the staff turnover and because of their limited resources, but they haven't been forgotten. Councillor O'Connor.
I was going to say there's some very good ideas that Councillor King is coming up there, and maybe it's time for us to get a working group to look at that and concentrate, and so that we can see where we can go from that type of thing, rather than just a suggestion in a meeting, because we need obviously people to go and find out this information and see where we can get it from, maybe grants that we can go for, and maybe a working group would be the way to go forward on that.
What do others feel about that? Yes, Councillor King.
Well, actually, this is a programme that is work in progress, or has been, for whatever time, quite a long time now. All of this is recreation ground, community centre and green, the sun deck, the putting green, the open spaces. Westgate Pavilion has now been given to because that's been settled. Beach huts along the Esplanade, and ones that we should look, and we should keep an eye on of the two public toilets, because these are concessions, they're not statutory, so they can withdraw anytime they want. Should money get there, I'm saying they will, but I mean it wouldn't be, they've been interested in before. So I think we've got to get ahead of the game and rein these things and get our sights set on what we as a town council can take on and do. But I really would like to see some progress with establishing some kind of play area for the children, because we don't have any play areas this side of Canterbury Road. I think it should be a priority of this town council to provide that recreational area, and there are sites available.
Well, on that specific point, the site which is available is, needs to be licensed to us, I understand, because it's not in theory. but-
Whatever it takes, but what I'm saying,
But, yeah.
let's do it.
The issue of the other assets, certainly we have already followed these up with Preston Frost, who is the TDC person who looks after the sort of beach and waterfront areas. And he was certainly due to come back to us on that. We certainly, since he's raised it, press him again on it. But as I say, as far as the asset transfers are concerned, we have a deliberate policy of choosing the most urgent and really pushing to get that through. Well, Councillor Scott.
Yeah, just quickly, with regards to the player on the seaside area of the town, I remember we've done a couple of community surveys and not once has that come up. However, it's not, it's not a particularly bad idea, but it's not something that has been a priority in our plan going forward. However, the beach huts seem like quite a simple thing to be able to move forward and bring in some good income revenue. So I think that's a good idea that's been raised a number of times by various councillors. But once again, we can't just start demanding of the clerk and our chair and our vice chair that the council should be doing something. As councillors, we need to take responsibility, and if we have ideas, do them ourselves as well as ask the clerk to do them. So perhaps Councillor Thorne's idea of a working group where the people raising these ideas can then take part and look at the actual financial implications of their ideas, then we may be able to put them forward.
If I can go back to a couple of points. One is for a lot of these issues that will require further investment, and it would be good to put together a group, maybe not just the council, but also others who might be interested in co-financing. And I remember what we agreed with council, we called it last time, that we put the germ of an idea to the committee, to the council, and if it's accepted, then we put forward a detailed proposal. And I was going to suggest that maybe Councillor O'Connor, if people agree, would come forward with a detailed sort of proposal on such a working group to us and do some preliminary work. But Councillor Cornford asked for the floor some time ago.
Is this not a matter for the Events and Tourism Committee, which they investigate and then bring back to full council with details? I believe Councillor King is a member of the Events and Tourism Committee.
It's a possibility. Councillor O'Connor.
I was going to say that each of these ideas all need a feasibility study to be undertaken to see. One is where we can, even the beach huts, whose land is it that we're going to be doing to put beach hut up, who's going to be, be able to rent it, who's going to maintain these beach huts, do they come down in the summer and the winter? So it's that type of thing. And so therefore what I'm saying is that they're really grand ideas, but each one needs to have a little feasibility study, and then we go forward as quickly as we can. The first one that's the most feasible, and carry on and work from our way like that, or separate group of councillors who've got skills in those areas.
Well, can I push you with this proposal that if you could come back to the council with something we could sign off on in terms of formal working group?
Yeah, I would have thought this is either going through the Events and Tourism Finance Group, because it's that type of thing. Each one we wouldn't know, but yes, we need to get some sort of, I'm just talking, but everything's got a feasibility study of what we need to do. So each one would be different for each idea that's brought forward, depending on what it is and who it is.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Councillor Cornford, did you want to come back?
On the beach hut front, there is Leisure Force deal with the beach huts, do they not? Beach hut number 12, next to the toilets, is the one that was partly obscured by the sink, which is no longer there. But I noticed last year it wasn't rented at all, and it did cross my mind that perhaps the clerk could approach the Leisure Force and do some sort of a deal. And we would then have one beach hut to use for whatever purposes, and we could, at the Events and Tourism Committee, bring forward ideas and then bring them back to full council. Would that be acceptable?
Yes?
Yeah, I think these are great ideas. I just think that we need to get them and have working groups, and each person, and each councillor take responsibility for one area perhaps and go forward.
Okay, Councillor King.
The concept of the beach hut is not an actual hut itself. It's to identify a length of the esplanade, and you mark it out like you mark out parking bays. They're normally about 5 to 6 feet. They can be 5 or 6 feet, and they're priced accordingly. I don't know how much TDC charge for these now, but quite expensive, I think. But you bring your own beach hut to it, you put it up and you take it away. That is it. All they're actually getting is 5 or 6 feet of the esplanade for 6 or 7 months, to which we then get the revenue for, should we get that stretch of the esplanade. That's what we got to get, that stretch of the esplanade. Without being too simple, we'll line out 30 or whatever it is, spaces of 5 or 6 feet.
Yeah.
So it's not about bringing beach huts, material beach huts.
Yeah, I understand that. I don't want to have to go too long. Councillor Crawford, well, maybe Councillor Nightingale, you can
Can I
come back
just,
on these
on a
investments.
completely different matter, so I say that.
Oh, I see. Well, I mean, just to finish on this, I mean, there are several ideas there, all of which need to be, I think, brought together. I mean, I could go and talk to the proprietor of West Bay Cafe and see how he sees things, because it's all around that area. And there are other things we could put into a general sort of framework for the development of West Bay Esplanade, which is what it comes down to. The coastal community team is there, but I think we need something a bit more intensive than that. So if Councillor O'Connor could come back with some.
I'll carry it forward to the
Yeah,
Events and
ideas.
Tours Committee and see if we can get something sorted out and working party come from there, as what we said we can from ECOP beforehand.
Yeah.
But these are the ideas to do and to carry forward. It crosses both boundaries of income generation and tourism. So I'll bring that up in there. Perhaps if I can have a detailed list of some of the good ideas that Councillor King's come up with, so that we can put those forward and try and see which areas that we need to talk to, i.e. council as well as the beach is concerned.
Just to remind you that many of these items have been on the events and tourism agenda for quite some time, and they have been running. So the beach huts is perhaps the most recent one, but a lot of those things have been carried over for quite some time.
Okay, can we finish it now?
Yeah, can I just, before we finish this, Chairman, can I have an answer, or what the council going to make a commitment to find and identify and to put in some recreational play areas for the children on this side of the Canterbury Road? Are we as a town council going to commit ourselves to going down and trying to do something about that?
Sorry, there should be a
Yeah.
garden.
So, as far as I'm concerned, it was identified within the framework of what Events and Tourism was doing, that we need something for the kids to do when the tide is in. A lot of those kids come from outside Westgate, so it doesn't kind of surprise me that there wasn't a particular demand from Westgate residents, because the main demand would tend to be from visitors, possibly people in Westbrook. But yeah, it should be a priority concern for us to provide that sort of amenity. You might like to know that the playground in Leamington Road recreation area is going to be, some of the, what do you call it, amusements? are going to be renewed, so there is that question. Councillor Cornford, would you like to chip in on that?
It just comes back again to having facts and figures brought to the council for us to make decisions on.
Yes, which is, yeah.
how much it
Which
is,
is
the
why I
maintenance of
suggested,
it, where it's going, can we put it there, all those
Yeah.
things, which we've had a few years to sort out.
Okay, look, thank you. I'm grateful to Councillor O'Connor for accepting the proposal I made. So that will be a priority in the future. Can we move on now to the finance sheet?
Sorry, can I just, I was going to make one thing on what councillors might have been informed.
Okay, yes.
Yeah. I've been concerned about what's happening with the recycling area on St Mildred's Bay, which for some obscure reason seems to have shrunk to just 2 bottle banks. And there's no recycling for paper, which has been there for I don't know how long. The clothes banks and all those have just suddenly vanished. So there's only two bottle banks there now, and nothing else. One of which says just simply put only white glass bottles in there. The other one says nothing, so I assume it's for every other bottle or anything else that's going on. Interestingly, both of them say on them that they're from a council in Hertfordshire. They're nothing Stanley District Council at all, just, I don't know how, maybe they've been washed up on the shore or something, but no, so who's looking after them or what's happened to them, I don't know. I've tried to get some answer from Stanley. Maybe they don't even know that they're there, but I haven't got any logical answers as to why they're there.
Thank you. Yes, basically what happened, they were continually vandalised. So even the charity ones that were for CDs, DVDs, they were continually vandalised. So it meant that every time our operatives were going to work in morning, the contents were all strewn all over the car park. The cardboard was being abused as well. I know people were using it that necessarily shouldn't have been. So, and that was being blown around all over the place. So this was reported by us to TBC, and as a result, they've said that because there are charity shops in the town, it's not really necessary anymore to have the banks there. So it has been moved because, say, they were being vandalised and it was causing problems with everything blowing around and it going into the sea and all over the place.
I can understand that it's going to be even worse than that, isn't it? When there's no alternatives for paper recycling. People we talk about tourism, when people coming down here, okay, there's not many at this time of year, but there's no site, and why would they have other councils' logos on them? But could Fanny give me an answer for that one?
I will investigate that for you. I wasn't aware of that. Okay, thank you.
Okay, Councillor Hanscott.
It was just a quick report to say that the knitting of the poppies is well underway. I don't know if you know Councillor Micallef has this idea for next November. So a number of councillors have learnt how to knit, including myself. And we are now knitting poppies at great speed. I knitted one.
Joseph, come on and say, come on, you're a poppy knitter. Okay. Can we move on to finance reports?
These were presented to the Finance and General Purposes Committee, so they are have been through the Finance Committee. I wasn't at that meeting, but I'm sure if there were any questions at that committee, they would have been answered there. Thank you.
Yes, Councillor O'Connor.
Yeah, just to say that there were no particular questions that came up regarding these at that meeting, so I agree with the reference and
Yes, for me it's just interesting to see one or two instances where we might be a bit over or more likely significantly underspent. Sorry, that's all. Councillor.
Yeah, can you tell me where the monthly spend is shown on there? I can't, I'll have to find it. what we spend from month to month.
Well, it's, yeah, county councillor.
Sorry, it looks like, unfortunately, Jasmine didn't print this off for this particular one. However, I was informed today that it has been printed off for the December one. But if anybody wants a copy, if you just let Dawn know, we can send them out for you.
Right. Is it an item, sorry, through the chair, is it an itemised spend?
It shows you how much to spend each month on it, and if you want to print out the cash flow, that can be done.
Yeah, but does it itemise everything that's spent?
Yes, we can get it either way for you.
Okay.
Presumably you would like that to be presented at the Finance and General Purpose meeting first.
Yeah, well, what I actually would like, Chair, is that, I mean, this is just an example of another town council, but that's the sort of thing I think that would clearly indicate what we're spending.
Yeah.
Amount VAT in total, 3 simple columns, and what we're spending it on. I think that's what we should need. We need every month, whatever we're spending, we need to know what the council is spending because it is public money. And I think something like that, I'm quite leaving on the table afterwards, but that is a very clear indicator of the council's month-by-month expenditure. And I just find that these, you've got to sift through them, do a lot of adding up and subtractions and tiny prints. I mean, that is very clear.
Well, the tables.
Well, that's just my opinion.
Yeah, the tables that you have before you, in my view, present a clear view of where we are in the year overall as to how much we spent and how spending is going. I find them quite satisfactory on that.
Well, I think
but as you
it's
say,
great.
it doesn't give it on a
It's
month-by-month
good practice
basis.
so that people know what money is being spent by this council each month.
And Councillor O'Connor had said that you can have that available, whether it's in at the level of main headings or by detail budget item.
You can give exactly what Councillor King has asked for in the report.
Yeah.
Come over if you want to see that, all that, and we will do that for you.
So I'm quite happy to leave this with Councillor O'Connor.
And you've got that.
If you could produce something like that, I think that would be beneficial to everybody. It's only an example, same objective.
Thanks. With those comments, can we receive these reports? Something like those? Councillor Page, those. Councillor Matthews Scott, thank you. So we come to planning applications, item 10. Well, we have Linksfield Road.
So, Chair, we must move the Suffolk Avenue up to the first one. 'Cause I know
Sorry?
that, some residents are here for the Suffolk Avenue one, and I think they've been here for quite a long time. Waiting.
Oh, yes,
Is it
okay.
possible to move that up?
Fine. Was there something you wanted to say?
Yeah. So I've just got it on
It's a change of use following demolition of the existing office building, showroom buildings and workshop.
Yeah, so this was in the local plan at first for 12 dwellings. However, I think they've extended the scope of it to include other buildings outside, so they're now looking at extending the number. There are some positive aspects of this application, being the fact that it was a factory and by change of use, and obviously there'll be less lorries and that kind of traffic going to that situation. And compared to using agricultural land for housing, then there's a benefit there. However, there's been a number of objections made by residents on the grounds of movement of traffic around the area. And this has been backed up by the highways highways. First of all, commending them that they've had quite a lot of parking spaces, more than actually is the minimum standard. So they have parking space per property, plus they have 12 visitor parking spaces, which is commendable. However, the way that they've put the houses, there's quite a narrow road which serves blocks 1 to 8, and they're suggesting that they wouldn't be able to have a refuse vehicle coming down that road. So they're suggesting the applicants need to demonstrate that this type of vehicle could safely enter and exit the site in a forward gear. Plus there have been no details that have been provided with regards to road adoption, and they want the applicants to confirm whether the access road and footways are proposed to be adopted by the Highways Agency. And they've asked for an extension of the time to the normal consultation period in order for the highway implication proposal to be properly assessed. But not only that, some of the residents didn't receive a letter by the applicant, and also there wasn't any signs on the lampposts. So some people had a bit of a shock recently, and also the application went in just on Christmas Eve. So some people feel that when planners or applicants do that, then they become a bit suspicious. So in my opinion, it would be worth backing up the request by the Highways Agency, but also to extend the consultation longer than is normal in order for the residents to have an opportunity to respond, as some of them haven't had an opportunity to respond as yet.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other comments? Yes.
I think this was one of the ones that they slip in before Christmas, which council was no one's really looking for it, and I went up to Christmas. I think, well, it's not. I don't think it's fair really on everyone's had their say when these things are done just before a Christmas period, and then by the time you've got Christmas and the New Year period over, you're all the way through it.
Yeah.
So I think it's, it would have been better if this application would have gone in, or been counted as, applied for at the outside of the Christmas period. But it's something that gets done, it's been done many times.
Yeah.
You want something that gets done.
The rules are what they are, but it seems to me that the proposal from Councillor Hannah Scott that the consultation period should be extended so it doesn't include the holidays seems perfectly reasonable in that context.
Well, for that reason,
do we go with that? We would ask our TDC councillors to take that up. Councillor Matthews, go on.
Yeah, I understand this was one of the points that Councillor Samantha Bambridge made, and actually was putting this forward as a TDC, so I reckon it's worth reaching out and pushing that forward. Because I think she's putting it under sort of contesting it. So I can also mention that we get a meeting.
Okay, good. Thank you. Yes,
So,
Councillor.
so just to clarify that the concerns are with regards to be noted that we have the same concerns as the Highway Agency, and are mindful to extend the consultation period for that reason, but also for the fact that residents didn't have a notification on that post, and therefore haven't had a long enough time to make their representations known.
Chair,
Yes, Councillor.
Chair, just a point. I don't think those yellow signs have to be on the lampposts anymore. It's up to the individual plan officer if they do or don't. It's not the legal requirement anymore. So, as we found out with the mosque or the school or whatever they go the road, they don't want to do it. If it's contentious, they won't do it, which is very unfair. Unfair on the residents.
Comes back to the issue of how much influence we can have in such cases. Councillor Matthews, go on.
Okay, it was a proposal that Hannah Scott was putting forward last week.
Okay, thanks very much for that. That's really helpful. Can we go back to the others? On Linksfield Road, the erection of single-story side extension to the annex. Yes.
So there was one objection with regards to this. They were concerned about the building of it up to the property line and sort of noise and things like that. I can't find anything in planning law that we can object to with regards to it. However, the person that's made the objection talks about quite a complicated setup where their parking area and turning circle is part of their property. So although we can't object to it, I would advise those people that are objecting to speak to TDC about the fact that they own the driveway turning area, and perhaps this area will need to be used when the building is going to be changed. So perhaps there's something in that they can discuss, but I can't find anything at the moment in planning law to object to.
Harold Avenue, direction of a single-story side extension. Yeah.
This is in a conservation area, so perhaps we could delegate our response to CAD with regards to this, but however, usually this type of application is a no-comment application, but perhaps we can delegate it to CAD as they may look at the design of it in more detail.
Okay. And Station Road, changes of basement. Hello. Yes.
So I looked at the design statement, and at first, I mean, I kind of there's some very interesting features to do with this property. So this is the basement of Krusty Knobs Bakery, and if people know that shop, you'll know that there's no stairs going down to a basement. So when I was looking at it further, what they've done is designed it in a way to have lights coming down from above and some lights coming in from above as well. However, there actually are no windows in this property. So I phoned up the planning officer to do this application and stated my concerns. And in planning at the moment, policy D1 it seems like turn us down because of one, lack of natural light, two, ventilation, three, no outward looking windows, so you can't actually see out of the property. And four, I imagine, fire hazards, fire safety. So although there's some quite interesting ways of adding light to a basement flat if it had a number of external windows in this application, which I thought was quite interesting, because of the fact that it has no external windows, it's not a habitable space. So I think we want to really object to this.
Well, do we ask the councillors to call it in on that basis?
Yeah, I think maybe we should put it on the basis, yeah.
I would be surprised if planning accepted anyway after what you said.
I think she was suggesting that she was very concerned that they would deem it as habitable space.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Yes. This is 3 points that Can we move on to the appeal, which is a small motto of the erection of an 8-story, of a 3-story building, 8 units. Do you want to speak to this?
Yeah, so the appeal is once again for a demolition of a building and then the flats being put up in its place, which reminds us of the Wesley Road demolition and then the overmassing and the flats put in place there. So the appeal has gone to the planning inspectorate, and last time our comments were, so we obviously objected. We objected for overdevelopment too high, overlooking existing properties and forward of existing building line. Will dominate the smaller existing properties. Loss of access to privacy due to higher level windows and balconies overlooking. Traffic problems with regards to Colton Rise, so the access to development will create parking and traffic problems. Also, it doesn't actually provide enough parking in accordance with policies. So they're only putting in 8 parking spaces where it actually needs more than 9. So there's lots and lots of things in planning law against this. So we can look at our previous objection. Also, just to summarise CAG's objection last time, which the first sentence of it, the first paragraph of it is quite succinct. Or I read it all because it's quite long.
Did you want to go that down?
Sorry? I just wanted to read you the first paragraph of the CAG's. So this was last time, that they feel that the proposal, by reason of overbearing size and out-of-scale overmassing, represents an unneighbourly form of development that would have a serious adverse impact on the amenity of the neighbouring property by greatly overdeveloping an existing established street scene with a 3-storey building comprising of 8 flats, and it would have a detrimental effect on the character and street scene of this area of Sea Road, which comprises many detached dwellings. So I think, you know, we can clearly take aspects of those 2 previous planning applications. But also in the emerging neighbourhood plan, we have, which I think you've read this aspect, it states that recently there have been some developments along Sea Road which have been out of character for the area, for example 8 Wesley Road. In order to protect the seafront, Sea Road has been separated into 2 character zones. This was our decision at the local plan meeting. The west zone, which is west of Domneva Road, is composed of large detached houses, whereas the east zone, east of Domneva Road, is composed mainly of tall dwellings which are separated into flats. So they're 2 different completely different zones.
Yes.
We would not discourage development in the east zone. However, we would not support any demolition of existing properties for the purpose of building new flats, such as the example of 8 Wesley Road in the west zone. So our actual first neighbourhood plan policy is protecting the seafront character in the west zone, which states the demolition of building in the west zone, especially for the purpose of building flats, will not be supported, whereas suitable development in the east zone will not be discouraged. So
I must, yeah.
possible to the response.
Yeah, I must say, I mean, firstly, the existing building is a twin with the building next door. They fit together, it's the same design. Secondly, to my unprofessional eye, from the outside, it's perfectly sound. There's no structural reason to demolish it. Thirdly, it would result in an enormous loss of view and loss of amenity for the people living on the other side of Common. Right. So, I mean, I think we should argue quite strongly again.
If I can just respond, what they're doing is they are comparing their planning application with Wesley Road planning application, and they're stating that what they are putting through is exactly the same as Wesley Road, and the planning inspector put that through, so why would he not put this one through? And we need to explain that firstly, we didn't agree with Wesley Road anyway, but secondly, there are some differences as well. So we probably need to draw attention to that also.
Is that okay? Can we register those?
Thank you, Tim. Yeah, what I would like to do is draft something and then check with Councillor Hammerscott before I send that off. That's okay.
That's really main, it's really simple, yeah.
Good, thank you very much for all that. On the decided applications, you can see the very related leave permission has been granted for 39 to 43 C Road. And St Christian's Road. Similar story size. Good, can we move on to the library, which we touched on before? I did want to spend a bit of time on that because I know Councillor King raised this last time, but I think they all felt that there are problems and opportunities with the current library, both in relation to the physical infrastructure and also the use. And we heard one or two possible avenues in the earlier discussion. There is a consultation ongoing, and there will be an open session in Margate at 9:30 on the 23rd. Margate session in the building. I think. Oh, okay. It's in Margate, right?
It's in Margaret Road.
Yeah.
Oh, it's thanks. Anyway, so there is that consultation, but I do think we need to explore possible ways ahead for the library. I'm sure there are models on which it can work very successfully in this sort of funding crisis that seems to recur every 2 years. I think it's important that we find a way of working with KCC probably to smooth the way ahead and make it more effective. Has anybody got any brilliant ideas or anything that they would particularly want to pursue? Councillor Rolfe.
Chair, can I ask you to perhaps speak to the chair of Birchington Council?
Yeah.
Know what they've done with the library?
Yes, I will do that. Councillor King?
Yeah, as I've said before, Chairman, these are cuts, obviously, hours cuts, which is unfortunate. I think we're on 28, I think we're on 28 hours.
Yes, it's reducing from 38 to 28.
That's right, 38 to 28. And apart from the implications to some of the staff there, I think obviously the staff will be retained to reflect the hours that are needed, and then they'll be debited out to wherever. The library itself is such an important facility for the town. And I mean, not just being for reading of books and the computers, the online stuff, computer buddies, and the muffin baby units, and the exercise classes that they hold there, etc. But also in these days, especially this time of year, you know, if people of limited means, they use libraries really sometimes to spend a few hours, for nothing else, to keep warm. Because they haven't got money to put their own meters in, or gas, or got to keep the bills down. I mean, these seem to be, but they are very, this is what's happening. I mean, and I think that it would be helpful if we was to get a copy of the Libraries and Museums Act, which protects libraries. If it hadn't been for this act, many of them would have gone many years ago. But they've obviously managed to get a few shut, so I don't know how to do it, and that's what concerns me. So if we can get a copy of the Libraries and Museums Act, I'm not sure what it is, it might be 1915 or 25, I don't know. But it's Libraries and Museums, and if we can get a copy of that and look at it as well, and also I still favour that we make a direct approach to Kent County Council and say, let's talk about the future of our library.
Yeah.
And what we can do, yeah? But let's be proactive, let's go and, I think they should come around to all the town and parish council. Because they're obviously looking to cut things back, save money, others will be cutting the hours. If they're away, probably would shut them. But I think the best way that we can protect what we've got in this state is to get it ourselves. As an asset. And I think it's one of the most important assets that we could probably acquire. I think a direct approach to, I think it's Mike Hill, as one of the councillors said, Mike Hill, I think his name. He's the portfolio holder from Kent County Council.
Yes. Councillor, do you want to speak?
We can move the town council office to the library. I said we can move the town council office to the library.
Yeah.
That would support it. No, seriously, are we all responding to the consultation separately, and then are you, as chairman, responding on behalf of the town council? It ends on the 29th of January. I'm just wondering how many councillors have already responded, and are we doing it individually, and then, what are we doing? We all know.
In my view, there doesn't seem to be a clear consensus from this tonight's meeting about what exactly we would propose. We can say why we think the library is important, but my own view would be that councillors should go forward individually with their own responses. We can, once we've had the chance to talk to KCC and maybe develop proposals over time, we can pull something together.
Well, bizarrely, the KCC documentation lays out every reason possible why we should support the libraries. So it's all there.
Okay. Councillor Page.
I agree that we would want to really look along the avenue of asset transfer, gain it as an asset for the town that we could perhaps use along the lines of income streams in the future. I mean, for instance, we could put a cafe in there for people to use as another hub. It's just a suggestion, but we could think about possibilities like that if it were around, and think along the suggestions that Councillor Green's already been talking about, the income streams could be another asset to us.
Yes. Councillor Monteiscott.
Yeah, and just following on from what Councillor Cornford said, that's something I've pushed with the consultation. It's like, it does finish on the 29th of January, so all residents do need to put their sort of own ideas and obviously opinions forwards. Coming back to what we could do as a community, following from Councillor Rolfe, certainly have a discussion on Burton, because I think that's the best way to see what we can actually do within ourselves. What we limited to, what's the large scope? Obviously, for us to have use, the library would need to be manned. Is it something we can man? Do we have the keys? Or we able to have access to the books, the computers? In that case, it could be a case of I hold a surgery there, well, the town council, should I say, hold a surgery there every third Saturday. During that time, that particular member of the staff of the library, those hours could be held on to us, or something along those lines. And I understood that our own KCC councillor, Emma Dawson, was open up to discussion. So I think we really should, take that opportunity to have that discussion with a KCC councillor and see what we can actually do.
Yeah. Councillor King and then Councillor Haskell.
I do understand, I think if individual councillors want to, fill out this form, this consultation form, it's fine, that's up to them. But I think the strongest action we as a town council can do is to put a formal letter to Kent County Council and object to the cutting hours and remind them that we live in the second most deprived area in the South East, and there are a lot of people and a lot of reasons why those hours cuts are going to affect some of the most vulnerable people. I think we have to put a letter in from this council. The town council letter is going to carry more weight than individual letters. This is firstly a local authority, and we should be making the representation on behalf of people in this town.
Okay, I mean, I'm happy to do that along the lines you suggest. If it doesn't, I mean, we can maybe open the door to discussions and say we will be anxious to have discussions about how we move forward with it.
I feel as a council should be held, on
Yeah, I mean, one of my concerns was that I didn't want the best with the enemy and the good. I want to make sure that we do get representations here. But if it's a short letter that simply objects but opens the door to future discussions rather than putting forward a counter proposal, then that's fine. Councillor Hanscott.
Yeah, I think there should be a number of ways that we should tackle this. Firstly, we should roll over and say that we're going to take over the library just because they're reducing 10 hours. We haven't got the funds for that, and the residents would have a massive reset increase if we just took the library over. We have 10 hours reduced. First of all, we need to say that we're not happy with 10 hours being reduced from our library service, as Councillor King said. It is a deprived area, we have got an elderly population, this is a real, this is an asset to them. Just because they can't see the number of books being taken out does not mean that people haven't been in the library. The library staff are not there ticking off who comes in and who comes out. So their figures may not actually marry up with the statistics of the people going in there to keep them. So, their statistics may be slightly skewed in that way. Secondly, if they do reduce the 10 hours, then what we need to do is think clearly about what we could do to fill those 10 hours rather than starting a grand scheme larger than that. And perhaps if they had a compromise of one day, we could think about what we could do on that one day. If they reduced it by 8 hours, then perhaps we could logically think about something that we could do in that one day and find funding for that kind of project going forward. That seems to be something that could be doable.
Councillor Nightingale and Councillor
I was just going to say, actually, I use the library to get books, but I don't always use Westgate. I often come in Virgington, will get them from Virgington and leave them at Westgate, or I will get them from Westgate and leave them at Virgington, because you can do that with the library. You don't have to wait. So that there's going to be lots of people like me that use the local library for one or the other, but then that's the books. So that was really good as well.
Yes.
I mean, I think I would not at this point want to go down the line of sort of asset management, and perhaps we're not totally aware of what could be income generation. We need to know what we're taking on first, and there was some thought that actually the library might be a listed building.
Well,
that was mentioned.
Yeah.
It was turned down. I knew some application had been made for it. So, I mean, we already know some of the weaknesses in this, like the use of the upstairs section for a start, like disabled access, enabling us to do that. And I think we've got to be very careful what we're offering. We need to know what we can offer, but if anything, on the basis, I don't think you start from a position of weakness saying, well, the libraries, we're automatically accepting the number of hours are going to go down. And then, offer what we might find we can't offer. So I think, yes, I agree, we should, as a council, be sending to KCC about concerns about the number of hours being reduced, and that indirectly should be support the staff that are in the library at the moment, and then see what we come back with, not I think, going any further than that.
I agree entirely. I mean, I think the first point in this whole debate is those that shout loudest get heard first. We are then in a position to talk about whether I say we see a crisis every 2 years about the library, and I think we need a longer term viable solution. I've still got Councillor Matthews, got Councillor Cornford, Councillor King.
Yeah, I mean, it's just coming back to just making people aware of the consultation. That's where they're going to listen. I mean, fair enough, we can put ourselves as a council and put ourselves forwards, but going back to what Councillor Cornford said, is the individuality also does prove the need. I think, I can only push from one end. I trust everyone else has their own methods and means to make our residents aware that that's something they can do. They can put that forward and just make, obviously, KCC aware that there is a need for the library, because I think to come back to an old point with the parking, when I did speak to the TDC councillors, they had an overwhelming response from Birchington in terms of the consultation, and the turnout for Westgate, well, it's indefinitely been overturned, wasn't as strong. And I think we just still need to just say, look, as a town council, we can do a lot, but it does need the backing of our residents as well. We will stand and fight. With Councillor Hannah Scott, we've protested along with Councillor Cornford. There's so much we can do, but it's a numbers game. It's the voices. We can shout. How loud can you shout? If you have more people, you can shout louder, and people won't turn you away when you're just standing there saying, look, this is our library, this is our street, this is our Westgate, this is what we want. And I think it's just a case of just pushing that and making it aware. And again, I put it on social media, but we are in an area where there are young people in Westgate. They do use social media, and not even to say that the older generation haven't got their heads around social media. They certainly have. But it's just one avenue in the street that we are only touching, and I think there's more than we can really sort of do. And to be fair, they do go under the radar. The big conversation, for example, about the rural transport, they're ways that are sort of made to confuse people, or they're not put through the thing. They spend loads of money on marketing, and yet they didn't do something as simple as a mail out to the actual doors of residents. They had all the flyers and leaflets there, but it was just given to us, and it was just like, well, you spent £90,000 on the big conversation about buses. And I just think, if they're not prepared to make it in the faces of the residents, we can. And obviously we can criticise and scrutinise, stop putting this stuff under the radar. That's just my say, but I just personally just think it really, we can do so much, but we do need to support the residents, because that's where it really comes from. At the end of the day, if the residents don't react to that, then what the statistics that they can just turn around and say, well, there was a consultation, there was nothing there.
Okay, thank you. I've got Councillor Cornford, Councillor King, and Councillor Hannah Scott.
It's very important that we do, as Councillor Matthew Scott said. Also, it's predominantly down to financial issues that they're making these cuts. But there's a lot of mismanagement with the libraries. Last year I took a picture in May on a Sunday with the boiler pumping away. That's expensive. So should they look at their management of their properties? Is that a valid point?
You're going to keep a boiler running and it used to switch it off and start it again.
Sorry?
So about the boiler going on.
Councillor King, did you want to come back?
I can't hear you.
We don't have to commit ourselves to any sort of big grand scheme overall to start with. But I think the right way to do it, as I say, is to make our voice known and our position regarding the library. And then getting into a meeting, a consultation with someone like Mike Hill or one of his, and it was about 18 months, 2 years ago now. When I was in your position, I was at the library, I had a meeting with the area library services, Sir Burke, I think it was, and these things were all put on the agenda. They was all on the table at the time, different options of what the library could be for the town and for what things we could put into it. And again, you know, like a cafeteria would be an income stream, but then there was money needed to put disabled access at the side. The building itself has been described by the heritage officer, or the conservation as it was at the time, Nick Dermott, as the finest piece of 1960s architecture in Thanet. And he said he thought that they were very short-sighted, in his opinion, of not listing it. So it's a building, you know, in itself that is important. But if we get to speak to Kent County Council from just square one, and say, look, what can we do with you for this library? What will suit you? Obviously, what will suit them is that they alleviate some financial, you know, they want to save money.
Yeah.
But how much are, you know, but we can go from there. I mean, we on the other end, we have to just, I don't want to open it up to a debate tonight, but if we talk to Kent County Council, it's our library, we want to keep it, and they'll worry about the cost of it.
Yeah.
So somewhere there's going to be something that's going to suit both of us. So
No,
let's
I-
just get to that first place,
Yeah.
and then take it from there.
No, I agree. I've agreed to write along the lines that you
Nobody's
suggested
committed to
a
it.
few minutes ago, which are to underline the report to the library, to say that we object to the reduction in hours, and that we are open to discussing.
But we would like to talk to Kent County Council. Let's talk to them.
Councillor.
Literally, sorry, what I was going to say. Oh, no. One thing, I haven't actually made a representation from consultation, and I'm not too sure how easy it is. Through the chair, Councillor Cornford, is it easy to reply to this consultation? Can you do it by email, or do you have to do it by questionnaire?
It's a questionnaire.
It's a questionnaire, so you have to go online and fill out this questionnaire. Okay, so we need to make that clear maybe on our front page on our website, perhaps. If we can have that kind of some kind of communicating splash to, so as soon as people, I don't know, as soon as people go on our website, this is the main thing that we want them to be thinking about this month. This is how you engage in consultation, and you know, explain it's a questionnaire that they can fill out and then press send. And if they need help doing it, they can go to the library to do that and up the numbers.
Okay, thank you. Matthew.
Just following up from Councillor Howard's point, and Scott's point. Yeah, I mean, that's something I can actually assist the chair with, because that was something I came across when I was reading up the consultation. I did pick up some things that I felt would be beneficial for our residents. So I pulled up the library's registrations archive strategy. It was a consultation document. It was a short version, which was an easier to read version. It's a long, quicker, it just basically highlight the pertinent points, plus the frequently asked questions. So I can supply those links over to our town clerk, and also directly to the actual consultation itself. And I think that would just be more than enough. So I can happily pass that over to yourself. We can go from there.
Yeah, Councillor.
Just one question, you've been on to that. Was it as leading as the one about the hospital? Was it as leading as the one about the stroke unit? Because the stroke unit led you had to kind of, do I want Margaret? You know, Margaret wasn't included, you were given options that didn't include what you wanted to say. So I'm asking you, is that consultation fair? You know, is it, or is it leading you that this is what we want? Because that's the risk, isn't it?
It's not the same as the
That one is, it's
NHS.
Sorry, just one more suggestion.
Yeah.
A poster on the window as well?
Sorry?
Have we got a poster on the window about the consultation?
No.
We print a big one up. Okay.
Okay, well, thank you for all that. So, I will be writing, but I think if the person managed to answer the questionnaire, that would be really helpful. So as I say, we can't go on just being at this point every 2 years where they say, okay, we're cutting it, and we say, no, we don't do it. Good. I don't have any more business unless I made a huge mistake. Can I urge you to sign, if you're ready to sign it, the declaration in respect to the policies code, the code of conduct and the social media policy. And I close the meeting at 8:40.